welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History. I'm Claire Ridgway. I'm the author of a book called On This Day in Tudor History, and I'm here every day of the year 2019 with On This Day in Tudor History events for you to enjoy, whether they're lovely things like births and marriages and coronations, or whether they're not so nice things like executions and horrible deaths by really bad illnesses and things like that. But I'm here with you every day with Tudor goodies. Okay, on this day in Tudor history, the 27th of April 1584, David Lewis, a civil lawyer and judge who is known for being involved in the maritime legal cases of Queen Elizabeth I's reign, died in London. He was laid to rest on the 24th of May in St Mary's Church, Abergavenny in Wales, in the part of the church which is now known as the Lewis Chapel. His monument was built from a single piece of stone by John Gildon of Hereford, a sculptor who was sort of well known at the time. And Lewis's friend, poet Thomas Churchyard, wrote of Lewis's tomb in his poem The Worthiness of Wales. He wrote, "A friend of mine who lately died, that Dr. Lewis hight, within that church his tomb I spied, well wrought and fair to sight." Now, height, in that H-I-G-H-T, that Dr. Lewis height means was called. So a friend of mine who lately died, that Dr. Lewis was called. Now, I expect that you haven't heard of David Lewis. You know, why should you, unless you've studied the maritime legal cases of Queen Elizabeth I's reign? So I'm going to tell you a few facts about this lesser-known Tudor man, because I always find these lesser-known people that you just sort of come across in passing, really, really quite interesting, because we always hear about the same old prominent people. Well, David Lewis was born in around 1520 in Abergavenny in Monmouthshire in Wales, and he was the eldest son of Lewis Wallace. Now, Lewis Wallace later became Vicar of Abergavenny, and he was married to Lucy, who was David's mother. Now, David's surname, David wasn't called David Wallace, he was called David Lewis. And his surname of Lewis comes from the Welsh tradition of calling yourself Ap and then your father's name. So his name, David's name, was actually David Ap Lewis, meaning David, son of Lewis, because he was the son of Lewis Wallace. And of course that became abbreviated to David Lewis. David was educated at All Souls College in Oxford, and he graduated from there with a Bachelor of Civil Law in 1540. He then took a doctorate in civil law in 1548 and became an advocate in the courts of civil law. He also served as a Member of Parliament, being an MP, got a cat climbing behind me somewhere, being an MP for Steyning in 1553 and for Monmouthshire in late 1554 to January 1555. His legal posts and offices included Master in Chancery, Master of Requests, Judge of the High Court of Admiralty, Joint Commissioner of the Admiralty, and Treasurer of Doctors' Commons. So he had a good career, good legal career. Now, as I said at the start, he was involved in the maritime cases of Queen Elizabeth I's reign. He was one of those who was commissioned to inquire into the piracy that was affecting the King of Spain. You know, the King of Spain, Philip of Spain, was very upset that his ships were being picked on by English pirates and privateers. So Lewis was one of those commissioned to look into that. And he ended up examining navigators Martin Frobisher and Sir John Hawkins, who were alleged to be planning campaigns of piracy. As a civil lawyer, Lewis was one of those who signed a document in 1571 stating that Mary, Queen of Scots' ambassador, John Leslie, Bishop of Ross, was punishable in England for plotting against Queen Elizabeth I. Lewis never married, and he didn't have any children, any illegitimate children that we know of. And then, as well as his legal work, which obviously he had a very good legal career, we also know that he was head of New Inn Hall in Oxford from 1546 to 1548. So there are just a few facts about this lesser-known man who obviously had a very prestigious career and was trusted to look into these maritime cases, these claims of piracy in the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. So that's it. On this day in Tudor history, the 27th of April 1584, David Lewis, who was a civil lawyer and judge, died in London. But perhaps if you are ever in Abergavenny, you can visit St Mary's Church and see his fine tomb. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. You can click here to subscribe to the channel and of course click on the bell to be notified. But I'm here every day so you can join lots of Tudor history events. Take care. Bye bye.